Donc, aujourd'hui, la personne qu'on reçoit, c'est la personne justement qui se cache en arrière du community. Donc, l'événement qui se passe de soir un peu underground, parce qu'il y a des artistes qui se présentent live, qui font leurs interprétations et tout. Donc, la personne qu'on reçoit, c'est Preach.
Donc, hello. Preach, qui est artiste, ouais, c'est très connu. Bon, parce que moi, je le connais un peu de vue parce que j'ai travaillé pendant des années au Spectrum et Métropolis. Donc, une fois que je l'ai vu, ça, je l'ai déjà vu et parce que I used to do security at those places and when I saw him, like, okay, I know this face, you know? And I'm like, yeah, so MC, you know, poet also because an MC. So tell us about the event because I know it's a Cafe Campus, correct?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Kalmunity, the event at Cafe Campus is one component of Kalmunity.
Yes.
So Kalmunity is fortunate to be celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. You know, we started March 3rd, 2003, and it was founded by Jocelyn, right, who basically came up with this concept and reached out to the community to start building it out. You know, over the years, I was the youngest member of the collective at the time. You know, fortunate to have a background that's been 22 years deep now. I started as a 14-year-old DJ around the same era with people like A-Track and myself.
Yeah.
They were out here kind of cutting our teeth. And I was lucky enough to learn from the OGs, like the guys that don't even exist in the promotional game or the DJ game in the States right now. You know, shout out to people like Don Smooth, who's celebrating 14 years on radio today. You know, and I was like, well, you know, a lot of people don't know the history behind just knowing that he's been, that went from being a record store to a radio show to a movement or whatever. Seeing things like that, when I got to Kalmunity, it was really reflective of the community that I came from, that I grew up with, you know, grew up in, right?
Yeah.
You know, so being that music came to me as an intervention through DJs because, you know, I was screwing up in school and all that other stuff, being a little hardhead from the inner city and stuff. So, once I got to Kalmunity, it was like, okay, you know, I seen the necessity for the energy and the communication that was being, brought forward. So we started in this little cafe and there wasn't enough room to even have like 5 people on the floor, much less have a band and a crowd and whatever. And this little place that, I mean, most likely should have maxed out at about 60 people, we were putting about 110 people in there every Tuesday night, you know. And I guess it's a part of the place where I started really growing my business chops.
Okay.
Right. So I seen that there were so many creators that were in there that, like Montreal, were super talented, super diverse, cultural backgrounds. You know, it was like a smorgasbord, right? You know, it's a big mosaic. But unfortunately, artists don't tend to be the most entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So I kind of really started to focus on the business side of things while still growing my craft as an artist. And I used a lot of moments outside of the collective to kind of figure out what we needed to do as a collective. So like you said, you know, I was able to book shows or, you know, get on bills at Metropolis or Spectrum or stuff, you know, places like that, Club Soda and all these other places, you know, and rocked with some of the biggest bands out there and was able to bring that back to our artistic collective of guys that just didn't want to see the business. They didn't want to see the corporate side of things.
Because just to interrupt you a little bit is that when I used to look at those places, mostly security, and I used to do a little bit of backstage, so I used to listen to them talk. And the one thing, like you said yourself, that always kind of like, I'm going to say maybe I was a little bit disappointed in the sense that a lot of the guys, the opportunities were there, but they couldn't push it further. And I wasn't a manager, so I couldn't, you know, if I would have known you were a guy like that at the time, I would have been like, you know, maybe they should get in contact with you because I've seen many guys come and be like, man, this guy's really talented. But after 2 years, just disappears into the ether. And so with what you're doing now, and like when I was reading some of the articles, I saw some of the names. I didn't know all of them because once I stopped working, I kind of like fell off of the world a little bit. So that's why when he when he gave it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should check it out. I didn't have time to go the last time, but I'm gonna go because I have one of my friends that used to do a lot of poems, and he was kind of okay at it, all good. And he used to drag me at the time because I was like, I don't know, man, if I can sit out, 2 hours, people reciting poems. And I got there and I saw the creativity, the intelligence behind the artists. And I was hooked for a little while, but life took a turn where, you have to pay bills and everything, so you can't do certain things at night. But when I saw that, and I'm like, I didn't have time that last Tuesday, but I'm like, I'm definitely going to check it out because I like the intelligence behind the people, like the spoken word or even the MCs, because a lot of the way that I kind of learn a little bit more of English is by listening. And when you hear beautiful words, it's funny how somebody says something, it just makes you smile.
Yeah.
You're like, man, that's talent. But you yourself, now you're more, I'm going to say behind the business, everything. How are you managing those people that I was talking about? How you can make them take this next step?
Well, it took a lot of practice. As I said, 22 years. I started at 14. Kalmunity's 15 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
I went through everything from rap crews to DJ backgrounds to whatever. It was understanding where my strength came in. I think not everybody has the strength to be, behind the scenes.
It's hard.
Or to do certain things. So you have to kind of know what you're good at, and being behind the scenes, we need everything behind the scenes. We need accountants. We need, we need people to network. We need people to do paperwork. We need people like yourselves to just I'm an anglophone. We're in Quebec. I need stuff to be translated into French and, be in both languages at all times. So it was understanding how to look at everybody's strength and be able to really assess and pinpoint it, because it's overwhelming when somebody, shout out Peter, who started on Soul P with us, Soul Perspective crew. And, at that time, back in the day, we were on the radio, and I'd always be like, come on, talk. Say, there's a mic, say something, But that wasn't always his thing. Exactly. But that wasn't his thing. But to see him set up here, it's he's always been the engineer. He's always been the technical guy, the DJ, the guy that could bring it's better to complement somebody's skill set than trying to get them to totally work outside of their being, especially if that's not really who they are. Sometimes you want to bring something out of somebody, and there's one way to do it in a way that's complementary to them, and there's another way that is, it's not really who they are.
Yeah.
So we just kind of understood who Kalmunity was, just like my partner and I, the founder, Jason. He's the band leader. So he's the creative director. There's certain things that I see in a very business manner. It's very, it's numbers oriented. It's cut and dry. I don't really want to have the headache with certain things, whatever. But he'll put a creative spin on it. And he'll make sure that, we see the artistic light in it, or he'll name certain things, or, in a manner that even though I'm an artist, I might not tap into it the same way that he does. So we just have to understand how everybody's creativity or how everybody's strength really played out in the collective. And we started to roll our event out through little cafes to bars to now that we're at Preach Kalmunity, which is also collectively owned. So Kalmunity at this point is what we do is we produce a form of music called live organic improv. Once again, that's something that Jason has coined, right? And it just means that it's not necessarily only freestyle or improvisation, right? It's a communication of the community, and it is a cultural consciousness that we're bringing about within that community when we say it's live organic improv. So it's natural, it feels whole, it's always something that, we're a bunch of vegans and vegetarians and whole food eaters and all that other stuff, Rastas and whatever. So it's we wanted it to just feel natural. So when people come in, there's a natural integration. So that natural integration has led to us having over 100 members at this point. So it's not your fault to say that you didn't know every name, because our collective rotates so much so that we have people who travel around the world, like Malika Tirolien and Freddie V and Monkey and big name locals out here, or guys that, Malika was a part of a Grammy nominated album and stuff like that. So we have guys who are teachers in music or students at McGill or whatever, and then we have people who are moms and dads that just enjoy to make music, and they could come out. This is the only time they get to create and come out during the month or something like that. So they come out and they create with us. So it's not something where you have to look a certain way, you have to sound a certain way, you have to be a celebrity. If art is what you're meant for, and it fits within your voice and your voice can fit into our conversation, then we welcome you to our platform. And it's just a natural transition of things that allows us to grow almost like, it's almost like fungus in a certain way, right? Or like mushrooms. It's just kind of like, it continues to grow. And John never had he didn't envision this rolling out for 15 years. That this would have been, we didn't know what it was going to be. But now that it's kind of turned into this like super team, and as much as we want to stay in bed on Sunday nights or Tuesday nights sometimes and be like, I'm going to skip it, people just continue to show up.
That's
they just continue to show up. So
you ever been like at Jello bar? So
we were at Jello bar. We've done Jello. We've done, at this point, I think we did most of the local venues, even like whether in one capacity or the other, whether it's just a little small show or, we've been fortunate to really be able to, because it's not just hip hop, it's not just reggae, it's not just jazz, it's not just soul.
It's open to everybody.
It's open to everything, and we play all kinds of music. I mean, now lately, our most popular nights have been house oriented, and I got, a whole live band on stage just playing hits like Black Coffee and Masters at Work, and we're going into the house classics, so we're trying to really, what we do is more like edutainment and entertainment, or just education. We want to make the entertainment palatable. We want to be able to have a conversation about what just happened at Starbucks.
Exactly.
We want to be able to open up a discourse about, Syria, but still have it be done in an entertaining way, or in a manner that doesn't offend, alienate. Exactly. It's going to alienate, and we kind of do want to offend your senses to open up something that wasn't there, but it's a
way for you to think about it a different way.
And I think that natural discourse is probably what a lot of people in the city, what you were mentioning of like why they weren't able to transition to the next side, has been missing. A lot of us have been great artists, but the intention behind why we create art all differs. So nowadays, when I manage people, to answer that question again, I don't take on people. I don't bring people onto my team and ask them what they do. I can clearly see that.
Yeah.
I don't ask them how they do that. I can clearly see that. You know what I mean? I only ask them why.
Okay.
Why are you here? Why do you want to do this? Why do you whatever?
And how far you want to take this?
I don't even care how far they want to take it, because for me, some people do this as a hobby, and I'm cool with like having the guys. Sometimes they're even more important to my creativity than the guys who just want to be professional. And then you have people who actually want to take it far. I just want to know why. What's the reason why you want to be here? And a lot of artists either don't have an answer to that question, or they'll tell me straight up, like, I want to be seen, I want to be known, I want to be this and that. If that is your why, then you need to get another job.
Okay.
This is not the place to be. Yes, you can become a celebrity, maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe people will know you, but where do you want to be known? Why do you want to be known? Community's intention was to never necessarily be known. We just wanted to have access and offer access.
Because platform for the people that were not being seen or heard.
We were created at a time that, we were created at a time where, yes, we had platforms and there were like spaces, but they weren't open to us.
Nah. Because it seems that when I was looking again from afar, because it's only what I've seen and I wasn't that part of the discussion, but it's what sometimes some of my colleagues, like, black guys will talk about, like, who would do, like, they say, quote unquote, they say white shows, let's say, and would see some, either hip hop and we were like, how come we can't get there? Because we're like, some of the kids, like the guys from Laval, and I'm looking at like the people that come in support and how they have a team behind them. And this is why we didn't understand, that they had a team behind them putting their stuff together for them in order for them like to succeed. Like, I don't know, like a simple plan or whatever those groups are. But then we're like, wow, I'm looking like, I can't think of names right now, but people are like, man, that guy's really good. How come like he can't blow up? Or because Montreal is one of those cities like, well, like it's always like underappreciated and underestimated in terms of like the artists and the talent that we have, and people mostly see Toronto, and I'm like, we have that here. It's just that it seems that for the longest time we're not able to put it together. And with an event like yours and 15 years strong, which is like commendable, this gives me hope, because like ever since I started working security, I kind of like don't go to shows anymore. I just stay home now. I can't do anything that has loud music. And once he sent me the article, I'm like, man, it brings me back to that feeling where I was like, that was what I like, because I like to joke around with them saying that when I worked there, I worked for about 12 to 14 years. And it seems that most of the planet of the people that are doing art are mostly music. I know that most of them are not talented. There's a small group of them that when you listen, even though you don't listen to their music, but they come and they play the instrument, okay, that's the main act. And whenever I would go to an event like Community, like, you'd see more talent there that you see, out there on the local scene on the opposite side. And you're like, man, that's why I like when he said that, I'm like, I gotta go check out one of them. I can't go to all of them, but one night just come and sit down and just watch.
You say that. Beautiful. You say that, and next thing you'll be, I have guys there that Peter will tell you, we have guys that come literally every week. Yeah. Literally every single week they're there. And I'm sure they told themselves the same thing. I can't be there all the time. But they that's why we have such a multitude of events, and we have all these little smaller events that have become offshoots to our events. So at this point, almost any day of the week, you can see Kalmunity, or you can see a derivative of Kalmunity. It's like from Sunday to Sunday, we're on, and my guys are on, whether we're not on, members of our collective are on, and they're pushing their music or they're doing their thing. So as I said, like, we've kind of grown like this board, like, that's been out of control. But one of the things that has helped us the most has been literally being Montreal's most, and probably Canada's most diverse artistic platform. Yeah. I've really had to learn as a young black male to step outside of my scope of education and information and start learning from people who don't look like me.
It's important.
And the beautiful thing about Kalmunity is that we've had so many people from so many different backgrounds that have brought their information and their energy to the table that has allowed us to grow outside of what we would have just known as Little Burgundy and stuff like that. The other thing is that we've been fortunate to benefit from a lot of musical history, just by, as far as in the talent, because once again, not just the diversity of language and culture and whatever and type of genres, we have people from all different age groups that perform in Kalmunity, and bass players who've recorded with Jimmy Jam and Janet Jackson. We have people who've, done the whole Michael Jackson and James Brown's, the whole Stevie Wonder. Like, we got guys that cover the plethora of music and have played with the greats. So we get to sit down and pick their brains. Yeah. It's really the only community that was created, in my opinion, where the young kids had access to the OGs, and the OGs had access to the kids. And so when I came into the game, because of Kalmunity, I was able to propel myself and get on stage with Alan Prater. Okay. You know, I was able to rock with the Aliens. I was able to be out there with the Islands. I was able to, you know, I can be able to put Arcade Fire in a part of my bio if I wanted. You know what I'm saying? There's things like we can do because of this platform, and because this platform opened us up to a whole world that wouldn't have otherwise been open to us. It also allowed me to recently really want to tap into where this energy has come from and understand, you know, as a business, as an enterprise. Because I say, like, Kalmunity, one part of what we do, getting back to the earlier statement that we made, one part of what we do is Tuesday night, right? The second part is Sunday nights at Cafe Resonance, which is a jazz, more of like a jazz improv game. Okay. Yeah, it's hosted and head up by Malika Tirolier with the crew. And then we have components like our production and our event planning and blah, 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 that goes down the line. We're getting into clothing now. We're getting into digital distribution for artists and stuff like that. So Kalmunity in itself is really the mothership. It's a brand. Yeah. You know, to understand how that brand was going to play into Montreal and how it was going to benefit us moving into this new event that we're planning, which is Kalmunity, which is the Kalmunity Music Week. That's a week-long celebration that we're putting on for our 15th year anniversary, which is bringing, since Kalmunity is such a large enterprise, such a large band, it's hard for us to tour this collective around the world. So we've been trying to figure out... Not yet, but we've been trying to figure out ways of touring the collective that would be beneficial to promoters, managers, venues, whatever, and still get this energy to different places. So what we've been really looking at is reversing the notion of touring, looking at what's lacking in Montreal, understanding that as a small population in Canada, that we needed to do something a little larger and a little more immediate and deliberate. So we put together 6 days and invited people from all around the world, Atlanta, Jamaica, Cuba, whatever, to come to Montreal and really share their energy with the collective in different venues. We're going to places like Dawson. We may go to Westmount High School. We may, I'm literally taking these celebrities, Sarak, Ibamar, Yadkor. We got Shy Wisdom coming in, Debai Young that's coming in. We have Sound Traveler from Cuba. We're literally taking these people and we're going to be bringing them straight to the high schools. We're bringing them straight to the stage up. We're bringing them. This is not just about a concert anymore. You know, this is about the community and making sure that I want the kids to know what I went through and experienced, right? And I want them to see that there is access. You know what I mean? This is the town that created the momentum that Toronto's on.